Hello and welcome back to Good Game Nation, where we bring you all things TCG. My name's Preston. Today we're talking about new stuff, and that's going to include like 10 to 12 cards from the starter decks, as well as a few things from the official website. We're going to start here with the Japanese website, where they're just talking about the premium booster pack. Believe this is in the same sense of size for EB01. At least that's the feeling I'm getting out of it. But it's going to be, I believe, mostly reprints. Cards from your past, new art. It's going to be the old cards, new art, plus probably some other stuff. At least that's what we're getting out of it. And it's coming out July 27th in Japan. The US will get it much later, but they're at least talking about it. That means we'll start to get card reveals as soon as the starter decks get out of the way. And they are rushing through them, so I wouldn't be surprised that we're almost out of reveals for that, and we'll go straight into either the new art for this set or the new cards for this small set. But I'm hoping we'll get those cards soon, which is exciting. That's why I wanted to bring it up, that it's around the corner. Premium Booster Pack 01. The next thing is an exciting bit of news for the North American players. They had talked about it before, and now they're actually following through on it. It's the store regionals, and this is our first round of them. If they go well, they'll expand to the other English playing regions. And my feeling for these is, I believe Japan has flagships, and I believe flagships get you certain things, and we've always compared flagships to this thing or that thing, and I feel like this is going to be a little bit closer to what it actually is, because they're hosted by stores and they're going to be smaller amounts, but these have regionals attached to them, so certain placements will get Nats invites, which is the cool thing. So you'll be able to play against maybe 60 to 100 people instead of 900 to 1,000 and get a chance to get your Nats invite. But there's a whole bunch of news here. I'm not going to read those. I'm not going to read all the store names, but there's quite a few that got signed up for this first round. So go through. I'll leave this in the description so you can go look and see if there's anything in your area that you'll be able to attend, and then reach out to that store and ask them how to sign up, because there's not links like the normal regionals have here. So I'm guessing it's going to be through the app, the same app that you sign up for normal stuff for that are like sanctioned events. But yeah, contact the store if you're nearby and say, hey, how do I sign up for your regional in July? So that you can get on top of it if you're interested. Still on the booster pack participation prize train. Still not a fan. I think all of this should be pushed up one and leave booster packs out of it. Give us cards that we most likely don't already have. Give us the promos that are scarce as it is. But the normal regionals are doing packs. This regional is doing packs. It totally makes sense. But top 16 get an event pack. Top 8 get a Luffy sleeve, which is kind of lame, to me at least. Especially because it's probably a sleeve that we already have. We'll get to it. Top 4 get invites. Top 2 get finalist cards. And then first gets a championship. So this is the event pack. We've seen it before. It's been around for a little bit. The sleeves are sleeves that I've seen before. Maybe they'll change by the time this event comes around next month. And then the finalist cards are the finalist cards that are going on in regionals right now. I wonder if they're going to put store regional. It says offline here, so I wonder if they'll change the art a little bit for that, or if it'll just stay offline regional. I think if it gets a specific store regional tag, I think the rarity of those would be a little bit higher than anything else, because there's so few store regionals right now. And then, yeah, 64 people. So that's a small event. And 64 people gets you around 6 or 7 rounds, something like that, if you continue to have the number every time. It's around 6 or 7, depending on XO. But yeah, this is super cool. There's a lot of options, and there's some Canadian options. There's a bunch in the US, because that's the rest of the North American region. And they're pretty well spread out. There's one in California. There's some in Arizona. Florida. I saw a lot of Florida when I was scrolling through here. So I think it's pretty cool that this is happening. And now it's just time to let these succeed so that they continue to happen. And the more events, the more like prize support that they're throwing at this game, the better. So I think this is probably going to become a new thing for all regions, and I'm excited for us to be able to prove that it's possible and that they can run smoothly. So go out, enjoy the event, and get those NAT invites. Okay, let's move on to our first card from Starter Decks. Starter Deck 16, the film Uta deck. Charlotte category, green character, 3 cost 4k power, film, Big Mom Pirates, 1k counter. If your leader has the film type and you have 6 or more rested cards, this character gains plus 2000 power. Yeah, I guess. So 6 cards isn't that hard to miss if you have 3 off of his play. I guess it doesn't matter because he doesn't have rush, so it's the next turn. So you play some cards, you have some rested Dom. You attack with your leader or some other cards. This guy becomes a 3 cost 6k attacker, and it's a constant effect, so he's a 6k on defense as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's not bad, it just doesn't have the flair and flash of other cards. So I could definitely see it getting played. It has a counter, so it's not that bad. It definitely could be better, it definitely could be worse. Moving on to our next card here. Buggy. Love that. Love that for us. I know a lot of people have been waiting for Buggy cards, so this is Buggy for Starter Deck 17. Buggy, blue character, 1 cost 2k power, 7 warlords. Buggy's delivery type. Interesting. 2k counter. On play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, then place them in any order on the top of your deck. That's pretty great. So we were just saying like a few words on the category card, make it not like just mid. But this is an on play rearrange at the top of your deck with the 7 warlords type, which means the Perona that you're currently playing that I don't think has attributes for you to make it searchable doesn't need to be played anymore. Or you have 2 cards that help set up your deck for Dofi plays in your deck. So you could have up to 8 cards that do that rearrange, and you keep the Perona, or you ditch the Perona to have a little bit tighter of a search, like parameters of more 7 Warlords of the Sea cards, and you keep just the Buggy. In any case, I think this is a great card that automatically gets put into that deck. Either you're bumping Perona or you're keeping it, it doesn't matter. I think it just automatically falls in because it sets up the Dofi leader. I think the only reason you wouldn't play it is if you weren't playing Perona already. But I'm pretty sure you still play it because it helps the engine run. And there's no reason not to be playing this card in any case either. So I think this is a great card. It has 2k counter, so even at the end of the game, if you have other things that are setting up your deck, you still have this card as a 2k counter, which is a great thing for the Dofi deck. I think the Dofi leader is already raising in popularity in the East. It has, I feel like, gone through some waves in the West, but still is regaining the same popularity in the West. So I feel like this can only be good things for Dofi. Moving on to our next card here. Thatch, red character, 1 cost 2k power, Whitebeard Pirates, 2k counter. On play, if your leader has Whitebeard Pirates included in his type, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2000 power for this turn, then put the top card of your life into your hand. Okay, it's okay. I'm not quite sure why you would play it. I think there's probably several other cards that you can play to do minus power that don't lose you a life. And if you're playing Whitebeard Pirates and you're playing Newgate, you're already losing life as it is. So I don't know if you want to encourage that more with this card. I think the minus 2k isn't quite enough for a life, in my opinion. It could be better. But at 1 cost, you'd have to weigh out all your options, and if you need minus power in that deck, it could be a good option. Because gaining life is never... like, being able to pull life on your own means isn't a bad thing, because that gives you hand advantage. It gives you another card to your hand you can play. So you play this card out of your hand, you get an effect, and then you're able to draw a card from your life. So you're using resources faster than your opponent can give them to you anyway. So it's not terrible in that sense. But I would have to look. It's definitely not a on-curve play. I don't know why you would do this turn 1. Especially with it not being able to attack right away. It's definitely a later game card where you're going to combo it with like Seaquake or any of the other like KO stuff. So... but late game, you might not have the life to pay the cost. So it is a then, so the wording's confusing, so we'd have to look into it a little bit more to see what the cost and stuff like that are. But I just have a feeling that I'm talking way too much about this card that's never going to see a deck. Speaking of cards that probably won't ever see a deck, Monkey D. Luffy, green character, 2 cost 3k power, film, Supernova, Straw Hat Crew. 2k counter. If your Uta is rested, this character gains plus 1000 power. I think that's a pretty lame effect. The best thing about it is a 2k counter, and I don't see why you would gain 1000 power, make this a 2 cost 4k, and want to see this on your board ever. So we're not going to talk about it much and move on to something that we do want to talk about. Not a fan. Please let me know if I'm completely missing on this Luffy. Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on this Luffy. Am I off base or not? Let's move on to a card that I do want to gush about. Marshall D. Teach, blue character, 2 cost 3k power, 7 Warlords of the Sea, Blackbeard Pirates, 1k counter. Activate main once per turn, place 1 card from your hand at the top of your deck, attach 2 Rested Dawn to one of your leaders or characters. So first, effect is great, love it. 2, the art is great, absolutely love it. C, this card's great. So place a card from your hand to the top of your deck. That sets up Dofi. It sets up anything that you need to do off of the top of your deck. That's great. As a cost, that's a great cost to being able to attach 2 Rested Dawn. So this card, when we think about everything, 2 cost and 3k power is going to be easy to remove. So you are going to play this strategically so that your opponent, you know that your opponent's going to try to remove it, because being able to set up Dofi effects consistently will be really annoying for your opponent. So it's easy to remove, so that's good, makes the card balanced. It gives you a Dofi play plus 2k on board for attacking, also great. I can't think of a downside for this card because it's very well balanced and it does everything it needs to do to make it extremely playable. So I can't wait to see this card being abused, and the great combos that Dofi will be able to play off of it is just exciting to see. So love this card, really excited for it. Let's move on to the next card here. Charlotte Pudding, yellow character, 3 cost 2k power, Big Mom Pirates, 1k counter. On play, you may add the top card of your life to your hand. Set up to one of your 3 cost or less Big Mom Pirates type characters as active. Trigger, rest up to one of your opponent's cost 3 or lower characters. I'm not a fan. I just got done talking about Thatch as a high cost for minus 2k power, and I feel like restanding a 3 or less is not as beneficial as doing other stuff with your life. And the only time it's okay is if you know what the top card of your life is. It doesn't have a trigger that you want, so you want to pick it up and then do something else. Find a way to get a new card onto the top of your life, which yellow does well. This, I don't see why you want to restand a 3 or less. I don't know. Nothing pops into mind as a 3 or less that I want to attack twice with, or even activate its tapping effect or something like that. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't really like it. I feel like there's probably a lot of other better yellow cards that you can play instead of this. So it's probably going to be a pass for me. But I want to know in the comments, am I missing something? Am I off base? Is this actually going to be good? Let me know. Alright, next up, another Luffy card. Monkey D. Luffy, purple character, 7 cost, 8k power, Straw Hat Crew. On play, Don -1. Play up to 1 purple Straw Hat Crew type character card with a cost of 5 or less from your hand. That's pretty limited, I think. Mostly because the purple Straw Hat Crew cards right now aren't exactly cards that I want to cheese out. But even if they're not great, getting a guy on board isn't bad. And we don't know what the rest of the purple starter deck looks like yet, so maybe there's going to be a couple good 5 costs that come out of it, and then this card gains value. Because 7 Don, you have one that you can pitch for this Don -1. You get a 5 and a 7 on board for 7 Don. Isn't it terrible? It just feels bad because we know that there's 2 cards that you want to pick up right now, really. Or that at least were being played as of recent. So I'm hoping that all of the purple cards are going to be 5 cost characters that are really dumb, and then this character card actually becomes extremely playable. And we don't care about the Don -1 anymore. Don -1 is nothing. Anything done up to Don -5 is nothing at this point, because you just have a Black Maria on board and you just gain all that Don back, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I think it's good time to move to the next cost. A not 5 cost purple Straw Hat Crew. Usohachi. Never get these names correctly. Usohachi, purple character, 3 cost, 3k power, Straw Hat Crew, 2k counter. On play, if you have 8 or more Dawn, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. And this is kind of what I'm alluding to with that Luffy, is all of the purple Straw Hat Crew stuff was bad in this exact way. You have to have 8 or more Dawn on board to be able to activate a very basic effect that other colors do without the huge restriction of 8 Dawn. This is a 3 cost card that requires you to have 8 Dawn on board. That just feels bad. That's just bad. I don't like it. I don't like the Wano purple Straw Hat Crew stuff. It was not a good archetype, and they're building out more of it with exactly the same problem that I didn't like about it before. Next up, because it's sad to look at purple Straw Hat Crew cards. Tashigi, black character, 5 cost, 6k power, Navy, 1k counter. On play, if your leader is Smoker, give up to one of your opponent's characters -4 cost for this turn. Activate main once per turn. If it is the turn this character was played, Place up to one of your opponent's cost 0 characters into its owner's trash. -4 and then a KO of a 0. And the way that they translate it here is to send a card to the trash. I don't know if it actually has the KO feature or if it's just a take it off the board, which is different. But this has basically 2 on-play effects. It has an on-play -4, and then if it's the turn this character is played, basically a effect that can only be played on the turn that it was played, but it's not on play for timing reasons. Basically KO is 0. But you have to play it in a smoker deck, so basically this card has one use currently, and it's a leader that hasn't been played in months because the other black leaders are so much better. Yeah, if Smoker comes back, this card's great. At 5 cost, it's good, I guess. I think there's probably a lot of other better black cards that you'd be playing at 5 cost instead, which makes me think it's not good at all. But the restriction of being only Smoker and it not having a reoccurring effect probably makes it pretty bad. It's a decent card with probably just way too many restrictions. Moving on to Sengoku, black character, 1 cost, 1k power, navy, 1k counter. On play, you may trash 2 black navy type cards from your hand. If your leader has the navy type, draw 3 cards. So again, another very restricted card that says you have to do things exactly this way, and it's for a good reason. Draw 3 is extremely powerful. So you're forced to get rid of your black navy cards in a black deck that's probably gonna want to run a lot of other stuff because the other stuff's really good too. But if you have 2 black navy cards, you play this card out for 1, which is very cheap. You trash the 2 cards you don't need or you think you can get back with like Gecko or something like that. And then you draw 3, so you replenish as a +1 to your hand off of those trash 2. So it kind of breaks you even because this card's a minus because it comes out of your hand and has counter. So it's kind of like a net 0, but you get to see 3 new cards, which isn't bad. It's a good thing. It's a good thing, especially if you're playing enough things that you can bring things back from the trash anyways. You have some core recycling in black deck, so I think it's playable. I think it's a bit too restricted, but I think it's playable. I think you can sneak it in and be able to play enough navy cards that makes this useful. Next up, Charlotte Cracker, yellow character, 4 cost, 5k power, Big Mom Pirates, 1k counter. Once per turn, when this character would be KO'd by an effect, you may instead trash the top card of your life. Trigger, you may trash 1 card from your hand to play this card. Trigger is pretty standard for like half of the Big Mom stuff. Art is really good. Effect, I'm not a fan of this type of card. I think the thatch and all of the other stuff like the pudding kind of shows that I'm not a fan of taking life unnecessarily. So I don't know if I would want to take a life to keep this guy on board. It doesn't feel like I would like to do that. But there's also decks that can like regain life like nobody's business. They're adding cards to their life as fast as they're drawing cards from their deck. So it might not matter if you take a couple life because you have like 8 or 10 or something stupid, because it's entirely possible to just gain too much life with yellow right now. So it's possible that you don't care. Make them send 2 attacks into you because you have the life to spare. I don't know. It feels bad, but also I know that yellow does dumb, stupid stuff. So it could be good just to have a card that doesn't die and it makes your opponent, like you could always counter out of the first one and then take the second one as a life. And then it makes this card very hard to get rid of because at 5k power, it has a decent chance to counter out anyways. So you have that option of going, I don't feel like countering this time. Take a card from my hand. I have a face-up 2K counter in life. I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to counter out of the next one. So it could just be a really annoying card if you have the resource in life to do so. Yeah, let's move on to our last yellow card. Charlotte Lin Lin, yellow character, 6 cost, 7k power. The 4 Emperors, Big Mom Pirates. On play, you may trash 1 card from your hand. Your opponent chooses one of the following. Your opponent discards 2 cards from hand, or trash 1 card from the top of your opponent's life. So whoever designs yellow Big Mom cards needs to go somewhere, because they're just always so good, and it's really annoying. For 1 card out of your hand, which again, not a big deal, you're most likely picking up life with your cracker anyway, so who cares? Pick up a card from your hand, from your life, pitch it with this card. Your opponent minuses 2 cards from their hand or loses a life. Yeesh, at 6 cost. Big Mom cards are just really good, and it's really annoying. And I don't have much more to say about it other than this card's annoyingly good. And that I've been just talking for so long. So if you're still here, thank you so much for hanging in there. This was a huge one. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are these cards really good? Am I off base on some of these? Are they even better than I'm gassing them up to be? I want to know what you think of the starter deck cards that have been revealed so far in the comments down below. And if you like this video, hit that thumbs up. If you want to get more One Piece TCG content, hit that subscribe. And until next time, peace.